There we go. Hey, good morning, Misfits. It is July 17th, episode, I don't even know what episode it is. I got to put me down as a big speaker view. Episode 511. I hope everybody's doing well. We've got a little different setup going on here today in the studio because we'll have a special guest here in just a little moment.
I have a question.
Oh, go ahead.
Does the person wears a pink robe?
Usually does, yes.
I'll take Rhonda Bird for 600 pets.
Yes.
Yeah.
Winner, chicken dinner. I'm coming down the stairs in about 3 seconds.
So, yesterday, Notes with Tony. I got to tell you, pretty amazing stuff, pretty amazing conversation. And, okay, that's just out of camera. It was a long day, but those are Tony events, right? We went from 10 till 10:30 10:45. The event went to, and it starts again today at 10. So I'll share with you some notes from Tony's event. But I see some hands up. We'll go to hands first, and I gotta get stuff set up. We got tables everywhere, and let's see here. Good morning, Ann. I hope you're doing well.
Good morning, Sean. How are you?
Outstanding. Little tuckered, but outstanding.
Amazing. So how was the Tony Robbins, his event? How was it?
Well, let's see, where's it at? Here's the workbook. The workbook is 108 pages.
Wow.
And we went 10 hours yesterday. Good morning.
Morning.
Somebody drug in the cat.
Good morning, Rhonda.
Good morning.
10 hours and we got to page 15.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yes, it's being made in the corner. It was amazing. And the first part of it was a lot of mindset, kind of like what we're doing in Secret Sauces to get you set squared, right? So, I mean, I've got the 13 pages of notes here, and then I got 19 pages of notes in my journal. Yeah.
What was the theme of it?
What's that?
What was the theme?
Sit in your chair for 12 hours so your butt will go flat and we'll build a business. That was the theme.
Guess who's a little cranky this morning?
I thought so. I'm not going to make any comments now. I'm just going to laugh it off.
You thought I was coming for you, spitting bars or daggers or whatever the hell it is. Listen, this is the board we broke, but Rhonda just had to look at it, go, God, all right, snap. She like genied it, blink, and the board went snap. I went, oh my God. I'm just gonna sit over here. I'm just gonna stay over here where it's safe. They're over there. For me personally, this is the first Tony Robbins event I've been to. I've been in many events where he's spoken. Eric Worre's Go Pro, just different events where he's done 3 or 4 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Only supposed to do an hour, done 3 or 4 hours. This is the first time to be a part of a 50-hour event, the UPW. So some of you may have attended UPWs. Attending it live, there was 22,000 people in the event live, and the system that he's got set up with the screens, he's taken it to the next level of being able to keep it, pretty interactive and to keep attention. So I looked at it from a variety of ways, but you had 20 pages.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're from East Texas. They're slow pages. So.
Oh, wow.
Having a record year. Yes, you are.
I might be tired, but I'm having a record year. So
Yes.
Slow or not. We got this.
Yeah. You wind up, they say you wind up bonding over these events. he starts off the event saying fear is the real virus that's out there right now. Yeah, we're right everywhere.
We're on the big screen.
Yeah, you look bigger. You're larger than life. Let's see here. He's been doing this for 43 years. Tony's been doing this event for 43 years. And the first question he asks is, the reason that you're here is, what's your business? What's your mission? So, and the thing that I think is funny is that a lot of times he would be having a conversation and Rhonda would have to say under her breath.
What? What would I have to say?
Well, under his breath, I wonder where I heard that before.
Oh. Y'all.
Can you hear her?
She's quite quiet, but I can still hear.
Yeah, that ain't, so you can't, so let me
That's
just,
on purpose?
hold on. Let me switch mics here, or switch cords. Hold on. Oh, please. Yeah. That's good. Turn it on. Can you all hear me now?
Very nice.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
What was I supposed to say?
Thank you.
Someone needs to mute as well.
Yeah, someone need to mute that line. Okay.
Got
I
it.
got it. I got it.
What was I saying? What did y'all ask?
Sometimes you'd hear, where did I hear that before?
Oh, y'all. All I kept hearing was, all day tomorrow, I got to tell Sean he's been right all the time.
That's called being coachable and teachable. See?
Let me tell you.
Yeah, we gotta give it back.
Let's go ahead and get
I'm
the gold
brand new
star.
today. My first day.
No, everything, I would say at least 90%, if not a full 100, is everything that we've been learning here, just said with like the Incredible Hulk voice. That's probably the only difference. And the way he said it is just a little bit of a tweak. So you might hear it a little differently and it settles in differently with you, but it's what we're already doing. The only difference is Sean isn't charging $1,800 a ticket. Thank God for that. So yeah, it's already stuff that we're learning.
Well, and so the reason that it shows up that way is because I would say we've had the similar teacher. How many of you know who Tony Robbins' first teacher was?
Jim
Rohn.
Rohn, wasn't it? Yes.
Exactly. So, and who am I in a mastermind with? 6 years now, Kyle Wilson, who was Jim
Kyle
Rohn's
Wilson.
former business partner. So the lessons of Jim Rohn get a little tweak, they get a little conversation twist, a little culturalization, but it's Jim Rohn. So that's pretty neat. And he was talking about how Jim Rohn being his first mentor and doing so many things for him. Yeah, that was pretty cool. So did that, good Lord. It's like having a kid in your.
Well, I got kicked out.
Yeah, okay.
I'm going to keep people coming in while you're trying
Yeah,
to chat.
okay.
Y'all, it might get crazy. I'm just saying. Hey, look,
I
I can use my own mic.
Y'all help me. You remember when you saw the babies and they learned they had hands? Ooh, look what I have. Ooh. Yeah. Welcome to my world. So yes, that's mastery. Cut one of the, again, this is day one, session one. Session one went till 6 o'clock.
No.
8 o'clock. So
8 o'clock.
Mastery. Three things you really need to, in order to create wild success. And it's cognitive understanding, meaning it's one thing. How many of us know what to do? This one kind of hit me. How many of us know what to do? How many of us are doing what we know how to do? That's knowing something and truly understanding it at the cellular level is a totally different thing. So the three things in order to create mastery is one of the first thing was cognitive mastery. Intellectual understanding does not create the change. Understanding is not enough. It's the doing of it, right? It's like kind of like swimming. If Bob Kane was on here, he taught swimming for years, and you can teach swimming, you can teach anything, you can teach network marketing, you can teach prospecting, you can teach any of these things, but until somebody does it, you don't get it. And then emotional mastery, linking pain or pleasure, hear it, see it, feel it. Aikido, where they use somebody else's energy to actually move them away, in the martial art Aikido. But emotional mastery is being able to link pain or pleasure to it. A lot of times we'll have conversations and we'll have discussions, but we never really link the pain, the consequences to not doing something. We know if we don't prospect anybody, well, they didn't get in our business. Okay, I got it. If we don't attend an event, yeah, I know. Well, I'll catch it next time. The pain or the pleasure linked to stuff. The challenge is that we don't usually have emotional mastery, being able to master your emotional understanding of the situation, linking the pain or the pleasure to that situation. So if we, I don't know, if any of us have ever spoken for the first time and it really starts to turn your crank and you really get excited because, man, I love that feeling. You'll figure out how to do it again. Think of the things in your life where you did it once and you're like, man, that felt amazing. And you'll do it again. That's emotional mastery. And the key is in business, when we start stepping into the frontier, how do we begin to put our emotional mastery into effect, into play when we haven't done it before? Well, you've actually got to see it, think it, believe it, feel it, all of that stuff. And then the last one is the physical mastery. Being able to, who knows what Tony Robbins jumps into every morning, right? The cold plunge, 56-degree water. And the reason he does that is so that when he gets there, when he gets to that moment and he's like, the way he did it yesterday, I could see it. I could feel it in myself. When he was talking about getting ready to jump in the cold water, give me 5 more minutes, 5 more minutes. Okay. He says, in that negotiation with your body, we lose. Remember how I would say, when you dry yourself off, when you get out of the shower, dry yourself off differently? Well, why would I want to do that? That's the beginning. That's the baby steps. A baby step as you can get is to dry yourself off differently so that you can be in control of your body, right? We heard LaToya reached a milestone yesterday within the last week where she can now write ambidextrously. And she can write with the left hand and write with the right hand. And this is that now changes the way, because she can now move her body. She doesn't have to think about, right? When it comes to writing, she can write on the left side with one hand and the right side with another hand. But this is physical mastery. Stuart Wilde talks about it in his 33 Steps to Your Infinite Self, getting control. Now we think it's getting control of the entire person. It is, But the big part of it is getting control of your body. When you decide you want to do something, if you're going to get up and walk, you're going to get up and move, right? This is where Mel Robbins, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, get your butt in gear, go. It's situations like this that you need to control your body, your physical mastery, right? Do I hit the snooze button? That's physical mastery. You're not tired. That's physical mastery. That's your body playing tricks on you. You can listen, you can make yourself tired, but what if all of a sudden you were exhausted and you wanted to hit the snooze button, but somebody yelled fire, God forbid. Right? Or God forbid you heard somebody knocking on the door out front. You get your butt up in a heartbeat. Who is that? What is that? It's a change in your environment. So that was a couple of big ones. What was your feedback on some of that?
On the emotional mastery, if you're not doing, how did I write that? Hang on. If you're not doing it, you don't know it. Emotion is created by motion. This was one of the biggest takeaways for me from this event, is how much motion creates emotion. So the quality of your life is the quality of your emotion. He kept saying that. If you want to change the quality of your life, change the quality of your emotion. And now it helps me understand, when I was in college, why we kept understanding the chemical release in the brain with exercise and movement, because Tony takes it, and when he has you go through because he'll walk you through these, he's a bit of a brain warp at times. He'll walk you through these moments and tell you these stories that are break your heart. Oh my gosh, stories, just unbelievable stories. And as soon as he gets you to that point where your emotions are just like, oh, these poor people or whatever, he tells you that. He finishes the story, and all of a sudden the music cranks up and you're like in a disco crazy room somewhere. The lights are flashing and he's like, jump up, get up. And you start getting up. And I have jumped more yesterday. And I used to love jumping. That sounds crazy. I've jumped more yesterday than I've jumped probably in, I don't know how long. It's a constant jump. They have a workout team that comes out and works you out. So he kept saying emotion is created by motion. So what I understood with that is, when I have something that is emotional, if I want that lesson to stick, there's got to be some motion with it. And if it's something that has broken my heart, then there's got to be some really high vibration motion to take me out of a suffering state and into what he calls the beautiful state. He said, you can live life in a beautiful state, and motion creates a lot of that. And he went through the whole physiology of the way the body looks, the way you hold yourself. He showed a video of a lady that said she was depressed, and she sat with her shoulders down and her head down, and she just barely looked up. And then her hands kind of went together, and she just crumpled like she was being depressed. And when he walked her through that depression and out the other side, her shoulders were back. It's like what we saw with Gigi the other day. Her shoulders were back. Her head was up. And he started playing some music in that clip, and that was from another clip. So it was, to me, that was quite interesting how the actual physiology is so linked to your emotional that you can't separate them. You can't separate them. That's it. That's why when Sean says something crazy, my eyes roll. You can't separate that. I got kicked out again. That's all right. What happened there? I don't know where you're going next, but
Go.
The physical mastery, the thing that I wrote down is easier isn't better. He kept saying that easier isn't better. So some of us look for an easy way out. And that's when he took us through this whole 4 square thing. And do you have it like really pretty in the workbook? Because I just had to draw mine. And when he went through this, and this is almost like 2 more calls, when he went through this 4-step process, man, it identified some hangups for me. So there's potential, then you see action, then you see results, and then you see certainty or belief. And it goes clockwise. And you can start from any point on there, and you'll see why you're doing what you're doing. Because if you're doing a certain result, it's because of an action that you took, and it's going to create a certainty, a belief about something. He went through this. That was a big awakening for me, because as he walked through it, I don't know, that helped me understand why I process things a certain way, and why things make me roll my eyes, or things make me pull away from people, or why things make me go forward. And it all centers around either I'm not in my potential, or I'm not doing the right action, or the action I'm doing is giving me a different results, and the results create this certainty or this belief. And then I go back into, because of that certainty, because of that belief, now here's my definition of my potential. So it's hard to encapsulate Tony Robbins in a one phone call, what this is doing. But I don't know, that was one of my favorite parts. You want to go to what did you have next?
So
You got to take this so they can hear you.
So one of the things when we talk about potential, one of the things I wrote down, our limits are not our lifestyle. Right? Where we're living, what we're doing. He talks about it's not lack of resources, it's lack of resourcefulness. And that, I think, I've heard that before. I've heard him talk about that, but I hadn't heard him go into it for 2 hours. It's usually in the 7 days, in the 7-day comeback challenge, he talked about that. It's not resources. He talks about when he was asked to speak at TED, and he's saying, how many of you failed? What were the reasons you failed? Timing, capital, ran out of time. And then somebody from the front row says, not enough Supreme Court justices. And it was Vice President Al Gore when he lost the election to George W. Bush. And he said, that's not the reason why you lost. You didn't have enough. You weren't resourceful enough. So the idea of becoming resourceful enough is what this is really about, because we've all been to the place where we've been to the wall and there was not enough, and we didn't have enough, and there was nothing else to do, and we ran out of everything. Then we became resourceful, right? How many moms are out there, or dads that are out there, that went into the cupboards and said, what do we want to eat? Went into the refrigerator, found something, and made this amazing meal, and it's a kitchen sink meal. You were resourceful with the things that you had. Nobody would normally have made a meal like that, but you took the resources and you used them to their fullest extent. So I thought that was pretty amazing. Remember the turning exercise?
Oh, so I am that person that sometimes people want to do corny exercises. I'm like, oh, it's another corny exercise.
Listen, there was more. I could have had wet clothes in here and put them near Rhonda's eyes, because as many times as Rhonda's eyes rolled and tumbled, the clothes would have been dried. If that gives you an idea.
Well, some of this stuff, you go to so many conferences and meetings and things, some of this stuff you're like, oh, But then you just go, well, it's a chance to stand up. So he had us stand up. So he had us, can y'all hear me? So he had us, we'll make sure everything's covered here. He had us stand up, and we just stood normal, feet together, except feet just side by side, not apart. So you didn't have like a wide balance. And he had us put our finger out, and he had us turn around as far as we could. There's some people trying to get in. Okay. And he had us turn around as far as we could get, rotate as far as you possibly could. And then as soon as you rotate as far as you possibly could, you could stop and then slowly turn back around. And then he talked to us for a few minutes, and he talked to us about our focus and our potential, and how he goes, I can guarantee you can do more. I can guarantee you can turn even more. And so he had us put our hand back out. He said whatever it was, and I'll have to look back through it, what he said. And I was like, oh, whatever. I know my back. I know my spine. I know what my body can do.
He talked to you about, this is about visualization.
Yeah. What potential? Your visualization and your potential.
Right.
And it goes back to this chart of potential, action, results, and certainty and beliefs. So my certainty and my belief was, I know how far I can turn. This is it. This 45-year-old spine's only going to turn this far. That's it. And he was like, no, I know you can do more. And he begins to help you walk through what it is you're focusing on. And it's your focus equals your feeling, and your focus equals your reality. And when he helped us change our focus, y'all, no word of a lie, I was like here. And when he had me do it again, I was pointing over here. I mean, like it was a good 15 degrees or 20 degrees more rotation than what I had.
I wasn't paying attention to her rotation, but I heard it. And it wasn't, and she's like, oh my God. And
It was crazy.
I'm trying to work on me. And I had to turn around and look at her. And she goes, can you see this?
But it proved what I focused on was my reality. My focus was, this is how flexible I am. My focus was, this is what my spine can do. When he changed that focus and he said, you can do more, I know you can, there was a part of me in my brain that was like, well, this dude's been doing this for however many years.
And he was guaranteeing it.
Yeah, he was guaranteeing it.
His assurance, his confirmation of how confident he was, I could hear because I've done this before, right? I've done events where you say, listen, I can guarantee this is going to happen. I got my glasses off. Did I just see your head bobble? And I could hear Rhonda going, yeah, okay, right. Well, let's see what's next. and then it happened. So that was pretty cool. The
emotional home was huge.
That's
Go,
what I was just
go
gonna-
ahead.
So we all want to go home. We want to go home physically, metaphorically. We all have an emotional home. And this emotional home that we get into, a lot of times people will, it's that phrase we use when we're doing trainings. You know, when you squeeze an orange, you shouldn't be surprised when orange juice comes out. So that's your emotional home. If there's people who, when they get into an emotional situation, they run home and they start cussing, they start swearing, that's their emotional home. If they react in a very negative way, their reaction is, if you know somebody that, like, well, she's like, I don't want to tell Timothy. Why don't you want to tell Timothy? Well, you know how Timothy's going to react, right? That's somebody going to their emotional home. Tony talked about how he used to always just absolutely lose his stuff. And somebody had come to him one time when his company was doing, maybe $2 million a year, and they lost they misplaced $125,000 in cash in the bank. And he went absolutely nuts. And, he said, and the way he responds, he said that person never came to him in the next 2.5 years, never came to him with a single issue, because they knew how they were going to get yelled at. So they avoided even having that confrontation and conversation. That's called the emotional home. And I have written here, the quality of your life is equal, you know, you heard Rhonda say this, is equal to the quality of your emotions. So, where was the question at here? So test your focus, test your emotional home. When you look at a situation, do you focus on what you have or what's missing? Right? How many times do we look at something and, you know, even in the scenario when he's teaching an exercise or something I've heard before, it was very common for me in the beginning for years, to say, if I've heard something before, to say, A, I've heard it before, and then B, to say, well, that's not the way I heard it. Well, why does it matter the way you heard it before? This is, you're listening to a new person. So that used to be a challenge for me years ago, and I've been working on that steadily. But to not look at to not focus on what's missing, to pay attention to what's happening now. Do you look at what you can't control or what you can control? And then where does your focus go? Does it get focused in the past? Does it get focused in the present? Is it focused in the future? Right? Too many people, their focus is in the past, and they can't get out. They can't get off of go. They can't get off of stuck because they got to take action in the present. Sometimes people are totally focused in the future and they're not doing the right activities right now. So this came back to me in my head, right? Be present, misery, or joy in the now.
He had one thing on that, said, what are you going to do? These are the 3 decisions we make constantly. What do you focus on? What does it mean? And what are we going to do? And he said, we don't experience life. We experience what we focus on and the meaning we give it. And I really like that, because at the very beginning of the conference, one of the quotes that was spoken is, life is happening through you, not to you. And that was huge. Listen to that again. Life is happening through you, not to you. So then what we focus on becomes our reality, and we don't experience life. We experience what we focus on and the meanings we give it. So if your pattern is to focus on what we don't have, we will never be happy. If your pattern is to focus on what we can control, we can make progress. And do we focus more on the past, the present, or the future? Focus on the past or the future, then you'll always be stressed. What are you doing? Are y'all? Oh my gosh. So he said, he cued us. He goes, focus on the present, which is exactly what we hear Sean say. Focus on the now and the now and the now. Otherwise, you're going to be stressed. So what does this mean? That it leads to what you will do and what you will be. So I asked myself, because he asked us, what are some of the things we deal with? I deal sometimes with anger and frustration. That gets me so quick, it's unreal at times. And I asked myself, so how often do I get angry? And then you'll find every way to get back home emotionally. I will try, without realizing it, when you figure out what it is you're focusing on emotionally, you will find every single way to get back to that state that you possibly can. So when you sit down to talk to people, you will be looking for a way, if anger is what you deal with and frustration is what you deal with, that's what you focus on. Every time you sit down and talk to somebody, what are you looking for? A way for them to make you angry or frustrated. Yeah, LaToya, that's what it did to me too. I was like, oh my gosh. Because I'm like, why? Y'all heard me say last year, I live in a world full of stupid people sometimes. That's what I used to say. It's what I used to think. So what did I find every time I talked to somebody? I would find some way how they're stupid, so I could get emotionally back home.
You talk to me a lot.
I did talk to Sean a lot, y'all. So you'll find a way to get emotionally back to your emotional home. We sit here and watch Sean and we're like, how can he stay so happy? His emotional home is joy. So every time he talks to somebody, when we're on the back of the screen or we turn our camera off because we're like, oh my gosh, here we go again with this person, we'll sit here and we'll look for a way for them to frustrate us. But Sean sees them and he's like in pure joy around them. We're like, how in the world is he always happy around every kind of personality? And it's because his emotional home is joy. And when he went through this, my biggest question was, what is my emotional home? The feelings, the thoughts I entertain the most is my emotional home. What is that? And changing your emotions, you can use your body dynamically to change your emotions. This is when he would have us, as he was walking us through this, he would have us get up and there would go the hard techno beat music. And here comes everybody's jumping and jumping around. And it's like you're at a freaking nightclub all of a sudden. And the reason he's doing it is if your emotional state is someplace that it's putting you into a negative emotion, he's now got you jumping up to totally change your vibration to go from a suffering, what he called a suffering state, back to a beautiful state. But here's one of the questions I wrote down from this. And this is Sean does this well, and this is why we're all on this phone call. Can I create moments of pause for people that can't even see past themselves that will positively contribute to others they are associated with? Think about that question. He gave us a story, a Thanksgiving story. It's a kind of a lengthy story, and how he was a kid and this guy showed up on their front door because they needed food. And he was just a little kid and his parents were just not real nice people. And they were hungry and they weren't going to have a Thanksgiving. And these
are Tony's parents.
Yeah, Tony Robbins' parents. This is his memory.
He's
9 years old. And he's sitting there, that somebody knocks on the door and this large man has a turkey and other Thanksgiving things to go with it that they're donating food to anybody in the community that needed food. Well, Tony's 9 years old. He's like, oh my gosh, we got food. And so the man goes, let me talk to your father. And he said, Mom and Dad were in this huge heated argument saying things that you never should say to each other. And he walks in and he tells them, and Dad's like, who's at the door? He's like, there's a man at the door. He wants to talk to you. Well, who is it? He was like, I don't know. So he walks out, and luckily this is a large man. And Tony's dad gets angry and he said, we don't take charity. And he slams the door. Well, the guy puts his foot in the door. And he does this 3 times. He tries to slam the door. And the guy is smart enough to reword it to where it doesn't give his father an ego trip. And Tony said all he was doing is he was kind of back in the background, and the guy looked past his dad and saw Tony just needing food. And the guy stayed with his dad's ego and frustration long enough to where he could get that little boy some food. And they finally took the sack of groceries and food so they could have a Thanksgiving dinner. So my question came from that. Can I have an emotional home of constant joy, no matter what circumstance I'm in, so that I can create moments of pause for people that can't see past themselves that will positively contribute to others they are associated with? So what that question means is, can I be that man at the door who this jackwagon keeps wanting to shove the door in my face and shut me out of his life because I see past him to the little 9-year-old boy that really needs this food? And I can see that, and I can stick my foot in the door before someone slams it and go, you may not be my focus. My focus is joy. And because I'm focused on joy, I see that little kid behind you or better yet, I see that little kid inside of you who needs the nourishment that I can provide. Can I create that pause long enough? And can I hold on to my emotional home well to where I can still do that and minister to the person? He just needed a meal. And can you be that giver of a meal, no matter what's in front of you, no matter who's in front of you? Am I going to join their emotional state, or am I going to stay in my emotional home? To me, that's huge. I watched Sean do that when the height of all this crazy was happening, and Bukumi got on here, and Bukumi was so angry and so frustrated, and rightly so. Rightly so. Sean held his foot in the door, and every time, metaphorically, Bukumi wanted to slam the door in Sean's face, what did Sean do? He just kept his foot in the door, and he stayed in his emotional home long enough for not only Bukumi to get out of a negative emotional state, but for every one of us on the call to all go, oh my gosh, did you see the magic that just happened? But the only way Sean was able to do that is because he's learned to stay in his emotional home and create pause. To me, I'm not as good at that. I'm better than I ever was, which that's interesting. That's how Tony measures success too. I'm better than I ever was. It identified where I could get a lot better. And I kept hearing him say, life is happening for us, not to us. It's happening through us, not to us. And now we're not all offended. Now we don't pick up the world's view of, oh, now you take care of you, girl. That the life is happening to us. Life is happening through us, not to us. Now my emotional home, it's like that built a fortress around my emotional home of, oh my gosh, that's perfect. That's what I needed. So I had that. I know I took over your microphone. Sorry. And then I said, can you take your worst day and use it to make your best day? Then you'll see and fulfill your higher purpose. I'm going to say that again. Can you take your worst day and use it to make your best day? Then you'll see and fulfill your higher purpose. So out of the emotional home conversation, that's what really, those are the things that struck me. And then I wrote down, that's a gift. That was a huge gift. Okay, there you go.
Well, and so that there was something that as Tony says stuff, he says, I hope he got, I don't know, we were 3/4 of the way through. He said, I hope you're taking this so that you can teach it. Right? Because there's 22,000 people that paid for a ticket. There's some people that had 9-10 people in a room. And he goes, I love that you're teaching and training this. But one of the things he said is make sure because his voice is so, as you learn, and if you know about his vocal cords, about how they're paper thin and they shouldn't be that paper thin. There's no way he should be able to even talk. So that's a whole nother physiology that he changed. But here's something that I wrote down early on. What have you trained for success? Think about that. What have you trained for success? Not what are you training on for success? What are you becoming successful at? What have you trained for success? We train our mind, right? We do a lot of training in our mind. Self-talk, negative state, emotional state. Have you trained your body for success? Have you been conditioned? Have you trained for success? Follow me on this. Or have you been conditioned to accept failure?
Oh, conditioned to accept failure?
Right.
That's the truth that someone's spoken over you.
Yeah.
Can you say that again, Sean, please?
So, have you been trained for success or conditioned to accept failure? So let me go a little deeper in that. All right. So this came apart. This came part of the failure. Became part of the day where everything is a pattern. These are the notes that precede it. We just need to change a few patterns, right? Jim Rohn says a handful of things will help you win, and a handful of things will not done consistently on a daily basis. We don't need to change you. We just need to change a couple of your patterns. And what gets in the way? Failure is learning. You don't put in a lower vibration. Failure is a learning you don't put into a lower vibration. So you can have the experience, but if you go, I failed again, or do you turn that and you'd say, okay, that's the lesson, keep moving. If you lower your vibration, failure is a lower vibration. Think about your relationships. Think about people that you talk to. Who do you speak to at a higher vibration? Do you like hanging around with them? And who's at a lower vibration? And you're like, yeah. So what have you been trained for? How have you trained for success? When you hit a wall, do you lose it? Do you go sideways? Do you get frustrated? Do you get aggravated? Do you get agitated? Do you look at the news and you see something about somebody's political beliefs or state? Do you wind up losing your stuff? So what have you trained for success? Right? LaToya has trained her left hand for success to right. That's the whole physiology of the body. Or have you been conditioned to accept failure? How many of us have become good at accepting failure in our life? Oh, well, that's just another lesson and I'll keep on moving. If you keep repeating it, that's an issue. Right? It's okay to do it once, but if you start to repeat it, it becomes a what? A pattern. So how do you measure you in your life? They guide you to a state. Emotions guide you to a state. What is the situation where you stepped up and took control of your life? What are you training into your body? See, all too often, it's hard to train into your body. This is where one of the things that Tony Robbins does is when he talks about changing state, he talks about unwiring, undeveloping, right? Undevelopment. What has to be undeveloped in your body so that you can go do the right things? All right. Anything on that?
Yeah, there was one other thing when he was talking about training yourself and understanding your focus, all that Sean and I were just talking about there, and becoming resourceful. There was one other thing that I wrote this down: expansion equals a break in resistance. I thought that was interesting. If you look at that in a visual perspective in your head, expansion equals a break in resistance. Like, oh. And then I wrote down this. He actually said this. He goes, how do I measure those I bring into my life? And that is huge, because for a couple of reasons. First, that tells me I don't have to allow everyone into my life. And it's okay if I don't. And when I do, how do I measure those I bring into my life? Are you watching the vibration they're at? Are you watching their body language? Are you watching how they hold their shoulders, or how they hold their head, or do they bite their lip all the time, or are they like this all the time, or are they slumped down? Are their words life-giving or life-taking? Are their words energy in a positive direction and into what he kept saying, the beautiful life, or are they words into a suffering life? Now, I can still interact with them in life, but I don't have to bring them into my life. you might have a better way of saying that. There's a difference between allowing people into your life and doing life around those people. And what is your measure? Because that'll trip you. That will trip you and make you spiral into their suffering faster than it will rise them up to your beautiful state, unless you're aware of how you're measuring them. And it's just simply taking a introspective look. Am I in my emotional home? Is my emotional home the healthiest emotional home possible? And what is their emotional home? And do I want to visit that? You know, there's some of your friends that you're like, oh, I love them. I ain't going back to their house. There's just some of those friends you're like, nah, we're going to have the party over here. We're going to have the Bible study over here. I ain't going over there again. So do you have that same measure in your life? And I think he gave me some really interesting ways to look inside myself as to why some of the things outside aren't happening the way I want them to happen. And then also some really beautiful ways to still love others, but not have to allow their energy and their emotional home to become mine. And I like that because that helps me to be around more people and just be me and not have to take them on or take on their problems or their energy. Or does that make sense how I'm saying that?
I hear you.
Okay.
Can I add something?
Go ahead, please.
I'm so glad that Rhonda touched that, because I learned to measure people. Grant Cardone had looked at this and he said, who's a liability and who's an asset? And I'm glad you touched that, because it's people like, who I look at and I measure like how they act and how they talk. They come in and try to provoke an argument for no amount of reason. I learned to analyze like why they're doing it. But then I look at myself like, why did I attract that? What is it I'm fighting inside that attracted that person to act that way? So I'm glad you brought that up, Rhonda, because that gives a lot of people an aha moment. That gave me an aha moment because I already was doing it, but then now it's like, oh, it's a reason why I'm doing it, you know? So thank you for touching that. I had to tell you that.
You know, the other thing that hit me right as soon as you said that, Latoya, is that we focus a lot on the law of attraction. I flipped the script on the law of attraction at times, because you asked yourself, why did I attract those people? It could be you got to have those people just to make sure you're rooted in your emotional home the way you need to be. So the law of attraction could be that you attract some of the lessons you need to make sure you're firmly in place in your emotional home. It goes back to sports for me. I practice and practice and practice. Why in the world are we playing a team that's fixing to, wipe the floor with us? Because you're ready for that test and you're ready to see what's your measure of success. Are you measuring yourself against someone else? Are you just measuring yourself against yourself? And did you leave it all on the court? The scoreboard, the paycheck is not your measure of success. You making more money than the other person is not your success. The measure of success is, did I do better in this than I did the last time? And if I did better than I did the last time, then I left it all on the court. So the law of attraction there, Latoya, wasn't, am I in a bad state and that's what I attracted? No, the law of attraction was, you're in such a good state and you've done so well with yourself that you attracted a moment to test where it is you've put yourself.
Got it. Thank you so much. I thought about that too, and me you about like eye to eye when you said that, and I thought about that too, because when you think of the like the yin and yang, right? It's like the positive, has a little bit negative that follow, and just to like jumpstart it, I think that you're correct. It's more like a test to see, where we're at, and
Right.
just thank you. Yeah, thank you. I'm having the aha moment. Y'all. I'm just jumping around.
Hey, yesterday, Latoya, y'all, I was having moments back here. Although I was rolling my eyes at some things, I really was understanding a lot more. And the other big takeaway is movement. And I even told Sean, I was like, we need to do some of this on this call. We need to have something to where we get up, and it sounds and looks crazy, but we got up and we were back here jumping. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
We're back here jumping and we're dancing and we're doing all this. But as soon as you have one of these moments and you start doing it, it made me think of Jeremy. I watch Jeremy. Oftentimes Jeremy watches these phone calls and he's standing up. He's got his hands here and he's moving, or he's doing something like this, or he's moving around. Yep. He's constantly doing something like this. Everything he's doing is he's bringing that energy in. So every time he has a good moment, his whole body goes through it. So emotion equals motion, and motion equals emotion. And I told Sean, I was like, we've got to have some of these things. So when we finally have an aha moment like Latoya, instead of just sitting in the chair, we get up, we move. We're like, I got this. I got this. Whether it's dancing or whatever.
Exactly.
It hits your body totally different. And then the endorphins and unless Sean pulls his back just now.
That's the beauty of the events, because the events is to have you in that vibration. A person could come in there probably like, I don't know if I want to do this. I don't know if I don't know what to do or whatever. But the moment when they hear that music, they understand like that frequency, like, oh man, yeah. Oh man. Oh man. Yeah. It feels like a club, right? So I love to have fun. I love to dance and all that great stuff. And then you learn a lot, and then they play the music, get up, jump up. And everybody's just excited. They're hugging each other. They love it. And everything just run all around the room. And then after the event, oh man, I feel so much better. I'm on fire. And then let's go. It's go time. It's like, yeah. Let me get out of the chair.
Well, there was a couple of times Sean and I did high five, and I was like, what was he trying to hurt me? What is the deal? Like, go strong, girl, going strong, because he's coming for you.
Don't tackle me.
But it's great because it's all now my whole physical body has that feeling instead of just a mental thing. And so I embodied the change. I didn't just hear the change. I fully took the change on. And that's huge. So if we didn't do something like this on the call, what I would suggest is right after the call, put on some sort of music or something and run around, shake your body somehow to make your body. This is all good. And this is where you need to stay. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes sense. Cause I have a playlist. I have a playlist on high vibrational music. And a lot of it like electronic, like the house music and stuff. And I play that for good 10, 15 minutes while I'm reading or, journaling. And it keep me in that moment. I do it even before these calls. It's part of my morning routine. I play like good 10, 15 minutes of it. And I be in that moment. I be in that state. And that's one of the ways that I stay in a high vibrational state. I'm always feeling positive because it's like, okay, yeah, that's my favorite song. Yeah, like I'll be around here to be amped up. So
that's what he did. As I sit back and kind of analyzed everything yesterday, he would allow us, and I choose that word really purposefully, he would allow us to experience an emotion that would kind of lower our vibration. And then he would bring us out in a moderate way. And then all of a sudden he would just peak. High music, flashing lights, crazy amount of energy. He's screaming, he sounds like the Incredible Hulk. He's like, rah! He's screaming and all this stuff. And he gets you there and you're like, okay, we're back. And then he allows you again to go down. There's some psychology going on here with there's a lot of psychology happening here with him. And Oh, Sean's trying to get some music going here. We're going to look like those people in that movie, those guys that just did the head thing. Anyway, but what I liked about it is he allowed it for us to see what it feels like, because in life, you're going to have those ups and you're going to have those roller coaster moments. And he showed us not only is it okay to have a roller coaster moment, but it could be a really fast down and up. And that's what you're trying to go for. You're trying to go for the quick down and the quick up. And he trained us how to do that, what it looked like, sounded like, felt like. It was discipleship in your emotional home, leaving it and coming back to it. And I kept telling Sean yesterday, I like how he does that. And then he makes you go through the exercise because it solidifies it in your brain and in your body. Unbelievable. This is my first Tony Robbins event. I've never really listened to Tony Robbins a lot just because of the language. When I hear the language, it makes me have a negative vibration because I'm like, I just don't feel my space with that.
I can accept it.
Well, and I can accept it just fine. I think it was the gruffness, and it was also the old truths that I used to sit under that it would jack with some of those. So it didn't, because he had old clips, it didn't affect me as much. Yes. But I have absorbed so much that after about 8 hours, I was like, man, the sponge is dripping wet. I don't know if I can cram any more in. But the stuff that I did write down, all the stuff that I wrote down, y'all, it was unbelievable. And then when he got to, after understanding your emotional home, he got to your flavor of suffering. What's your favorite flavor of suffering? Yeah, Corinne, let me tell you, yes. And he asked us 3 different questions, and then we all had all these breakout groups. And when you start diving into your favorite flavor of suffering, oh my heavens, the stuff it will tell you about yourself and the things that you will identify were crazy. And was that the one where you and I both had we had the exact same sufferings, didn't we? Flavor of sufferings. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm gonna let you talk for a bit. Sorry. I'm gonna give it back to you.
Yes, ma'am. So glad I could show up. This is my first call. How y'all doing? Here, I'm gonna let you talk now. Okay, cool. Awesome. Whose house are we in? What emotional home did I just walk into? See what happens? And y'all think, oh man, it'd be so neat to have Rhonda as a friend. Mm-hmm.
I screenshot this moment right here. So expect on Instagram.
Yeah. So you want to know my new level of suffering? My new flavor of suffering is
wearing
a red shirt.
Oven that Laurie's seasoned salt.
So, where's your other shoe? I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. Your biography is not your destiny.
Yes.
Your biography is not your destiny. Who you are is not where you're going.
Huge.
That's huge.
That's huge. That should have created like a loud roar.
Corinne, you got your hand up, my love. What's your question?
This was such the call, like this. Oh my gosh. Like, let me first tell y'all where I started from. Because I can be honest. I started from a place of, I was tasting my flavor of suffering in the form of resentment of where people are at that I want to be at. You know, sometimes I get upset. This is true time. Sometimes I get upset at LaToya because I'm like, I want to be like LaToya. I want to write with my left hand. I want to be happy all the time. I want to be a new caller. I want to be I want to be I want to be all this. I want to be new every single day. I want to be And I walked into this place and I was like, oh my God, like, and I could see it. I could see that like I'm feeling these emotions towards Latoya, and I'm like, it's not Latoya. I was like, well, who is it then? You know, like if it's not Latoya, who is it then? I'm like, damn it. You know, like, and then you're talking about what's your flavor of suffering. You know, what's your flavor of suffering? And then discipleship towards your emotional home. Why am I leaving my emotional home, and what am I leaving it for?
Oh, good questions.
Oh.
So I'm gonna go ahead and sit with myself. So, Latoya, I love you. Please keep doing you. Please keep annoying me because it's really bringing up a lot of stuff. It's bringing up a lot
I
of
love
stuff.
you. My mouth dropped. I was like, oh my God, what I do?
You're amazing. That's it. That's what it is. You're amazing.
I still love you. Love
I
your
love
beautiful
you too.
smile.
Can I make a comment, Sean?
Sure.
This is a perfect example to illustrate what I've mentioned a number of times. It also illustrates what Rhonda was alluding to in terms of relating to other people. In John Wellwood's book, A Love and Awakening, about 1996 or so, he points out that the major theme of the book is that we are attracted to those people who offer us the opportunity to deal with an old issue, an old wound, an old conflict that we might have had when we're younger that we're not consciously aware of necessarily. But it allows us to see in that other person the perfect situation in which we can deal with that old issue. So here we see Corinne seeing in Latoya something that was missing, the result of some relationship that she had, maybe with parents, maybe with teachers, other siblings, something that she's wanted to learn for a long time. So she could be across the room from Latoya and be attracted to her and not have any idea why until they go head to head and things bubble up and the truth comes out. And that's the miracle that I discovered in Wellwood's approach to things. After 20 some years working with people, I discovered that pattern, that model, and I have never since seen a situation where people don't relate on that level. We'll identify in someone else something that we can learn, something that we want to fix, something that we want to change in ourselves, in our background. And we'll be drawn to interact with that person. We're to some degree, I can't think of the right word, not dynamic. We're junkies for conflict, because in that conflict, we're trying to learn how to fix something that we know could be better. I've never seen that model fail. So that he describes the other person as our worthy adversary. We see in our mate, in our relationships, someone that we want to do battle with, but in a way that will help us learn what we wanted to learn for a very long time. So I think that was a perfect example of that theory. So it's worth checking out, worth looking at your relationships in the past, with your teachers, with your parents, with your coworkers. How have you related to them, and what might have been the drawing card that connected you with them, even when they were irritating to you? You're somehow drawn to to argue with them or drawn to somehow connect with them, because other than consciously, you're suspecting, you're sensing that in your relationship with that person, you have the perfect context in which to learn what you've wanted to learn for a long, long time.
Very cool. Thanks, Bob. I appreciate that. So one of the things, if we heard Rhonda share earlier, that our emotions create the quality of our life. So if you listen to what Corinne shared, her emotions, LaToya's not in the room, but her emotions towards a situation, right, was changing the quality of her life. This happens to all of us, right? And there's the 4 primal needs. There's 6 human needs that Tony comes up with. They're a little different than Maslow's, but he said he came up with these on his own. And one of them is certainty. Certainty is everybody wants stability about their basic necessities, food, shelter, water, and other material resources. When people cannot control their physical circumstances, they seek certainty through a state of mind, such as religious faith or positive outlook. The second one was uncertainty. People need to have change in their state to exercise their body and emotions. Therefore, they seek variety through a number of means: stimuli, change in scene, physical activity, mood swings, right? And each of these have a positive and negative side to it. Certainty and uncertainty. Certainty has positive and negative. How do you get your negative certainty, right? You're a manager and you just belittle your team. You belittle your group. You tell your people in your network marketing business, you should be sponsoring more. There's a certain, and you get it through negative certainty. Another one is significance. This is the one I think where Corinne was just expressed. I want to be significant. I want to be the first day caller. I want to be this. Well, significance says everybody needs to feel special and important in some way. People will seek significance through obtaining recognition from others and from themselves. When people feel insignificant, they may make themselves feel significant by getting angry. They may also meet their needs paradoxically by having others recognize the significance of their insignificance or the size of the complexity of their problems. How many of us know somebody who says, well, I'm not good at that. I'm not good at that. I'm not going to get, that's just me. I never lose weight, or, you know what, I really, it's hard for me to exercise because of my hips. So that's how they gain their significance, by continually representing or presenting their insignificance. And Corinne, I got to say, Rhonda and I both looked at each other. When the entertainers come out and dance for Tony, and they're talking and they're teaching and they're dancing, we both looked at each other and said, Corinne would be perfect at that. Perfect. Corinne, we just saw you on that stage doing the dancing with the team. So, yeah. And it was kind of one of those, Jinx, you owe me a Coke moments. Because it literally came out of my mouth and out of her cake hole at the same time. So
that to go along with what you just said.
Listen, I'm sorry, I'm done talking. So let me
give me the microphone. We need 2 microphones or we're going to get in a fight, and I'm going to win. So going along with what he's running away, you see him? With part of that, this is the other thing he said, and talking about Corinne coming out and being one of the exercisers and kind of that kind of people, you so could do that. Oh my gosh. We were both like, but he said this, and this is why I've understood here lately when we're on these calls, y'all see me walking around my yard, and y'all see me doing stuff and moving. Now I know why I've had that urge even more so. I'm such a kinesthetic person. I am really good when I know my awareness in my space around me. I'm really good then. I'm in a good spot when I'm like that. I'm in a comfortable state of mind when I'm like that. Hang on, let me let somebody in. What is wrong with this? Oh, it's upside down. I guess I got in or left. So he said this. He said these 2 things. If you're learning while passive, you're getting knowledge. If you're learning while active, you're getting results. Now listen to that. If you're learning while passive, you're getting knowledge. If you're learning.
Can you all hear me? I just want to make sure I could ever like take back the. Okay, good. Thank you.
He found another microphone. Crap. If you're learning while passive, you're getting knowledge. If you're learning while active, you're getting results. So the East Texas version of saying this is that's some OJT. That's some on the job training. OJT is so much better than just sitting there getting the theory of what it's like to succeed. That's just knowledge. So again, that goes back to when you're sitting here learning. Just a minute ago, as soon as Corinne said what she had to say and she voiced how her emotional home gets compromised at times and she walks out of it, as soon as she got done expressing all that, Sean and I were both watching the screen and Corinne's over there going, and what did she do? She put what she said into her body. She put the learning she got into her body. If you're cooped up in your house and you still can't get out, walk around the house. Like there should be ruts in your carpet every time you get on these calls. So it helped me understand here lately. I'm like, why am I not sitting down being a good example of a mentee on Sean's call with my notebook and I've got my notebook and I got my pen and everybody can see it and see how many notes I'm writing. Why am I wanting to walk around? Why am I wanting to water the yard? Why am I taking a walk? And it's all because, good morning. It's all because.
Oh, did I get a coffee and you didn't?
That's no, Michelle, you do not have to bring me a coffee. You're wonderful. You're amazing.
Excuse me while I get my coffee.
Get out of here. It helps me understand why I'm doing that. And then I get to, and I'll say this on this call, I get to kind of pat myself on the back because I finally have stepped into making the knowledge become me. And instead of it being knowledge, now, move your cup. Now I'm going to get even more results because of that movement. So, and now what does that do? Now that translates into a higher emotional state because what do I see? I see nothing but up. So now the vibration I'm walking into is higher. And then that's going to attract even more, not only tests and trials, but even more higher vibration individuals. So this dude's a freaking genius. I know we already all knew that, but when you see them come back for how many years now?
43
years, and they still can change lives. This is huge. Passive. If you're learning while passive, you're getting knowledge. If you're learning while active, you're getting results. That's huge. Huge.
Bonus time.
Yeah, that was a bonus time for me for sure.
Go ahead.
Going towards that thought of learning while active, when I speaking on the secret sauce about the woman who angered me because she was serving her husband, and I'm seeing a pattern. I know y'all seeing a pattern, but I'm seeing a pattern as well. What Robert just said, is so true because I'm seeing that, and I'm seeing with the woman who angered me. I asked her to come on live with me on Instagram, and we had a talk, and we recorded the conversation about what it means to be a woman, and that we can no longer start, judging other women for expressing their womanhood in the way that they express that womanhood, and that was learning while active to me, trying to find a way to remember that I am not distancing her, but I'm distancing what I see in her and don't accept in myself because it wasn't allowed to be accepted when I was a child. And now I see that even while Rob was speaking, I see that LaToya represents to me that part in me, I'm shaking, of I couldn't be. When I was a kid, my mom, it wasn't accepted for you to kind of be your whole 100% show up self, because she wasn't in a good place herself growing up. And so when I would be really, really happy and I would tell my mom, look, I did this in school and I did this in school and I did this and this. She's like, who do you think you are? And I was
love you, Corin. Mwah. Send you hugs right now, honey.
Corinne, we love you
Yeah, you are
so
amazing.
much. You are learning. You're learning as
Yeah.
you're doing things. You're helping other people, and you're learning. It's,
Get up and move, girl.
You are so amazing, Corinne. Oh my God.
she is.
Seriously,
She's
she
putting it in her body
is.
now. Muscle
Corinne,
memory.
you're one of my favorite people in this universe. You're incredible.
Yes, and her beautiful smile.
Yeah.
Even she had the hood on. And that smile is like, oh my gosh, I didn't even notice the hood on her head. I
Her
didn't notice.
energy and her
Yes.
smile.
No, I love you, sis. I love you.
Happy in the present, Corinne. Everybody's loving you.
You're the
right
bomb, Corinne.
You are amazing when you have amazing days, honey. You have amazing days every day. And because you're amazing. You show up to these calls as an inspiration that I had to show up. I had to show up for you all because it's like if I don't show up, I'll miss Corinne's smile. I would miss the Kaya, you know, she talking, hearing her voice, and her eyes are so happy, you know, and you know, her accent, oh my gosh, and Sean talking about choosing joy, and Rhonda, you know, if she not wearing a pink robe, she be like, you know, she be praying and all these great things. You all play a huge impact on, like, just in my life, just not only in my life, but just imagine the thousands and millions of other people you're impacting right now. And Corinne, you're so amazing. Look at you doing your exercise. I need to get up right now because I've been sitting in this chair, and everyone knows I sit down in the chair like about every day. So
Y'all move around. Y'all move around.
no.
Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Yoo-hoo! This is how you get rid of the old story. This is how you get back to your emotional home. Movement. Motion creates emotion. That's so awesome.
And you can become the perfect parent for that younger self that didn't get the attention, didn't get the recognition, whatever it is that you wanted.
Yeah.
You can hold regular counsel with that younger self. Whenever that feeling pops up, see your younger self in a mirror, even an imaginary mirror, and hold a conference with that younger self. Ask it what it needs, how it wants it, and you know, become the perfect parent that you didn't have. None of us had perfect parents. A lot of us had parents that were good enough, but none of us had perfect parents.
But
we
even
can,
more
but we can identify a part of ourselves, a younger self, that wished we had something from a more perfect parent, some attention, some way of teaching us something, providing something for us that we didn't get, but we can now do it for ourselves because we've lived long enough to recognize the kinds of things. If we're conscious of it, we can figure out what to give that younger self. It's a great learning.
Corinne, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Heather.
But the most important lesson of this is that you get to be everything that you didn't get to your baby. All of those lessons, all of those hurtful things, all of those things that pop up and they remind you of how bad your heart hurt and how those things made you feel. You get to be the complete opposite to your baby, to your copy. You get to be that mommy. You get to be all of those things that you need to be or that you needed. You get to show up for her that way. And the ones that come after her.
And Corinne, that's being spoken to you by a mom who has had some real mom challenges, right? So.
And Evelyn played a version of her good mother or aunt or friends when she went back to the age of 5 and got that Barbie. We can all do that. We can quantum leap to nourish that part of us that wasn't nourished.
I want to say something for Corinne as well, just randomly throw that in there, aside from the actual topic, just to say I'm so grateful for you, Corinne, because I don't think Corinne realizes how much she inspires people every day by, you know, getting on her IG and sharing everything she does with people, sharing love, sharing, you know, so much beautiful energy with the world every single day. So everyone who's in this group, and I know maybe like 1/3 of you guys, but everyone who's in this group is so grateful for you, and you are so amazing. And I know you don't see that right now, but each and every one of us sees it, and we love you, and we see, yeah, exactly what Bukumi just said. You embody light. You are light, Corinne. You are incredible. So I just wanted to add that because, you know, you need to know that.
Everybody needs to see you. It's your show.
Stop. Can y'all hear my stomach growling on with this?
No.
I'm hungry, y'all. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like hungry. When y'all are sitting here talking about this, I gave Sean my notebook, and this is what stuck out to me. There was another thing he was talking about, and Tony said there's 3 things that create a breakthrough. And it's when the impossible becomes possible. And these are the 3 things. I hope I have them laid out properly.
You see her pink slippers?
Y'all, why you got my feet on the camera?
Hee-haw!
Gosh, I'm glad I was sitting right.
That's awesome. I love them.
They look like Uggs. I like those.
They go with my pink robe. My pink robe's out in the car. See? I got pink fuzzy slippers.
They're cute.
Thank you. I think so too. So the 3 things for a breakthrough. And I see the first 2. I got to make sure I wrote it all down so I don't leave y'all hanging. The first one is you have enough pain. There's got to be enough pain where you're at. The second one is you finally get inspired. And that's where he started going strategy to story to state.
So that's important because the 3 things he went over in the comeback challenge, but everybody's looking for how do I do this? How do I sponsor? How do I enroll? How do I do this? How do I do that? How do I build a team? How do I build or I get asked how all the time, but it's never how. How does it work? Listen, how many of you would believe, I don't know if you've heard this news, but there's a lot of people who are a little bit overweight in the world. And there's 70% of Americans are overweight. I don't know about how it is in your country, but is it because only 1% have access to the information of how to lose weight? Is it only 1%, a half of 1% that have access to technology that would allow them to search for the answers? No, how is all over the place. Everybody's looking for strategy. Strategy doesn't work until you change your story, and story doesn't change till you change your state of mind. And that's where Rhonda goes back to the pain.
Yeah.
So that's because we're all looking for strategy. Man, how do I do this? How do I get more people in my business? You all have had me walk you through the tossing somebody off the tallest building. All right. That 90-second. And you're like, oh, hell, I could sponsor 50 people this week. Because the how doesn't matter. It just proves the how doesn't matter. It's got to change the story. Well, how do I change my story? My story is my old story. This story is, I'm not good enough. I've never done this before. When you walk into a meeting room and you go, oh, well, I'm new to this business. That's your story. So how do you change the mindset? And so that's what this is all getting to. I don't have to pass you the mic. You don't have to pass the mic to me.
I'm worried my stomach is growling. I'm worried they're going to hear it. It growls really loud. I'm gonna put it down there a minute. You're gonna be like, oh my God. I was that kid in high school or middle school that when the stomach growled, the whole class was like, oh my gosh, does she ever eat? It's because when my metabolism goes, it goes. So that was the three things.
Yeah. Welcome to the Rhonda Show.
Stop. Enough pain, finally get inspired, and the strategy, story, and state. And then he said, divorce the story of your limitation and marry the truth of your infinite possibility. Divorce the story of your limitation and marry the truth of your infinite possibility.
That one's going to require a lawyer.
That's huge. And it says, if you start with how, this will kill you. If you start with the question how, this will kill you. That is not me saying that. That is a guy who has taken how many businesses?
56.
56 businesses.
6 billion in revenue.
Yeah.
Rhonda, can you repeat the last part?
Yes.
Marry
the truth of your infinite possibility. And then he said, create the life you want. So this is where he went into neuroplasticity, or cybernetics is a good book on that too, where he said, create the life you want. Create the story that you want. You can't leave. Create the story you want. Change your state as if you're already there. And now you'll find the strategy. So he gives you, when you go, how? He gives you, that's a death sentence. And he gives you the path for life into your infinite possibility. Create the story, the life you want. That's the story. Create the life you want. Change your state as if you're already there. And now you'll find the strategy. You know, I can't help but think when my baby would never sleep. And, you know, she didn't sleep through the night till she was 18 months old. That's the first full night's sleep she ever had. And I only breastfed. So I was a hot mess for like 3 years, because the last part of your pregnancy, you can't sleep. And then for 18 months, that baby can't sleep. It's like crazy. I couldn't help but think there was times as a mom where you have to get to a place in your mind where you're like, this baby is going to sleep. And I'm going to sleep, and I'm going to feel so good when I do. And I'm going to be able to get so much done. And then lo and behold, I would figure out a way to get that baby to sleep. But if I started with how in the world am I ever going to get her to sleep, it would never happen. It's the same thing with your business and with your life. If you start with the how, that's a death sentence. Create the story. Step into that story. Step into that state. And then you'll find the strategy. So to me, that was huge, because there's a lot of times I will, and I've said it before on here, but I'll talk to Sean, I will constipate the whole team, the whole flow, because I'll start going, well, how are we going to do that? Well, how's that going to happen? And Sean, being the booger that he can be sometimes, but in a good way, being the mentor he needs to be, is he'll just sit there and let me sit with that long enough for me to go, oh my gosh, I got to quit asking how.
There's the remote.
And you were sitting on the remote the whole time. And we will find a strategy. And then he went on to say, a belief is nothing but a feeling of absolute certainty. So this belief in infinite possibility, that's a belief is nothing but a feeling of absolute certainty. When you step into absolute certainty of your infinite possibility, what do you think is going to show up? Every kind of strategy you can possibly think of will automatically show up, and you will see when there was no way, you will all of a sudden see 10, 15 different ways. And
Rhonda,
that's how people... Say that again?
Can you go back 2 seconds? I feel like you just said something very, very powerful, but my subconscious didn't understand it, but I feel you said something just right now.
Oh, goodness. I was
finding possibilities.
About finding possibilities. Oh, when you begin to see yourself believing your infinite possibilities. That's what I was saying. Hang on a second. A belief is nothing but a feeling of absolute certainty. When you're absolutely certain of your infinite possibilities, that's when multiple strategies are going to show up for you to physically have the life that you believe and you're certain about, with your absolute certainty for your absolute infinite possibility. That's it.
And that's where the dyslexia comes from, if you will, meaning or the disconnect. Infinite possibilities and having an absolute certainty about infinite possibilities. That by itself is mind-blowing. I'm absolutely positive that I can have unlimited solutions to this situation. But when that transition happens, when that doesn't kick you out of the box. That burns the box. Right. It burns anybody who ever thinks about making a box. It burns any box that anybody ever thought about bringing to you. Imagine when somebody steps on your sidewalk, all of a sudden the box they were carrying goes poof, and it turns into ashes because nobody can even bring a limited idea to you. How cool is it to watch Luis's brain go right now?
Yeah, I know. I hear it.
I'm working at 1,000,000 miles right now.
Right, and whatever he was doing, the little physical task he was doing, putting something in something, is the way the body, is the way the mind goes. Okay, I can't move my body right now, so I'm going to do something that's routine. This is why I was given this gift. Y'all see this? That was a gift given to me by a very amazing, brilliant young child that you've heard mentioned on this call, who's spending 6 and 7 hours listening to books now. Mm-hmm. Because she gets to color. Sometimes we have this unbelievable amount of energy built up inside of us that as we're trying to come up with ideas, we need to do something. You want to keep a little boy from learning anything, stick him in a seat. Yeah. Little boys have to be moving around when they're telling they got to be moving because the way their brain has to develop. We all do better when we're in motion learning stuff. So think about that. I've got 100% certainty in unlimited possibility. You could sit the rest of the day on that. Yeah. And then sit the rest of the day on. Go ahead, Luis.
Oh, I will sit on that all day.
Because what happens now is when somebody comes to you with an idea, that idea just brought with it what? Another set of unlimited possibilities. How many of you have ever been fortunate enough to sit in a very dark night looking at the stars? And as your eyes start to adjust, do you not see more and more and more stars? And then you see the Milky Way. And then you go, holy mackerel. And then when you start to look at the stars, the closest one, Alpha Centauri, 4.8 million light years away or something crazy. And then imagine if, as you sit and look at the stars, some of the light that's just showing up, as you start to look, that light is just showing up. Have you ever asked the question, I wonder if that star still exists? It has been traveling to us for billions of light years. Maybe it no longer exists. No matter how big the telescope is we have, it may have already turned into a supernova and a red giant and a white dwarf and a black hole and already expelled its gases. But we're just seeing it. We're seeing it as a newborn. How many times have we heard the expression, people die at 21, we bury them at 65? How many of us are just being born right now? Do you see the unlimited possibility? Are you certain in your unlimited possibility?
When, as you sit with, are you certain with your unlimited possibility? This is what I wrote down when I'm speaking to others. I need to get good at seeing uncertainty in those I'm speaking to or listening to.
And their uncertainty, how small is it?
Well, it could be any.
But usually uncertainty is a very limited.
Oh yeah.
Right. So how small of a box is it? And what happens when, if you have when we were little kids and somebody took my 2-cent gumball,
Mm-hmm.
that I screamed more about that than if somebody would steal a car. Because that was my uncertainty. Right. How much ownership do you have in your uncertainty? Yeah.
That's what people will fight you for and hate you for the rest of your life for, is if you expose how much uncertainty they're holding on to, or what little
and this is what happened this morning when Corinne you got to just love Corinne for her boldness and her courage and her strength and her feeling of safety in this community to say what she said about LaToya, right? And to say what she said to LaToya, and LaToya's like, wait, I never put that on you. But this is just what happened. So in Corinne's uncertainty, right? I don't know. I want to be new every day. Hi, everybody. Please in the chat, would you welcome Corinne to the call today? Today's her first day. So pay attention to the chat. People will welcome to the call. So good to have you here, Corinne. But see, but follow this. How simple was it to serve her? I want to be okay, great. We'll make you today. Well, great. We'll make you today's your first day. Did it take anything away from any of us? Mm-mm. So her uncertainty could instantly be served by us going, not judging ourselves and going, well, what the hell would you make you one day? This isn't your first day. It is your first day. It's my first day. First day, I get my mic back. Had to go get my own mic.
That leads to the other thing that I wrote down from him.
You know what they're going to require? At least I live here. You're going to have to show up every morning for the calls.
I don't know about all that. That's a significant drive. So after that, there's 3 more things that I wrote down. Well, 4 more things that I wrote down. Reasons come first, answers come second. And Corinne did a beautiful job of that. Reasons come first, answers come second. Yep. You got the answers after she expressed the reasons. It all starts with your story. And what do I need to do to change my state? Because my state changes the story and the strategy. It's all intertwined. And then the other one was, and this is what Sean just said, how often do we confuse that we are giving and in reality we are wanting to get? How often? I know I have given advice plenty of times, and now that I understand this even better, it was to get something. I wasn't really giving. I was wanting to get. And that goes back with your strategy, your story, and your state. Mm-hmm. And that determines what kind of outcomes come to you. What kind of, are you seeing more answers? Or are you seeing more questions? And it's disguised as we want to give, but we're actually wanting to get.
Well, think about every presentation, and we've had conversations, and people always ask me, so did you enroll them? I'm like, enroll them in what? Well, did you get them in the business? Geez, I don't know. Well, why would you have the conversation? To create a friend.
Right.
Yeah, but you need 3 more people. I don't know if they're the right ones, because listen, we can get anyone. I can get anyone into the business. The language, the skills, the ability to have a dialogue with somebody, to find somebody's pain. I personally I could get anyone into the business. I could at least get them for 1 month. But do we want them for 1 month? Or is this to be a part of their forward moving solution? Can what you're about to do with your company, your business, your product, your comp plan, your service, your technology, can it serve somebody long enough that it's no longer just the how, the strategy? It changes their story and allows them to see life in a new way. Many of us are worried about making sure we cover the how when we have a conversation with somebody, the strategy.
But did you hear how you just said that?
No.
You didn't say, how did it change your strategy and your story? You just said, how will it change their story and their strategy? Do you hear the difference? Did y'all pick up on that? Sean spoke from his emotional home of joy happens no matter their responses. No matter what, Sean stays in his emotional home of joy. And then he even spoke it in words that he is not trying to get anything. He was like, it will change their state and their strategy and their story. Did y'all pick up on that? As soon as he said it, I heard it. I'm like, oh my gosh. Because a lot of times we'll say, well, that'll change my story, my state, my strategy. That's great. But the reason we're following Sean is because Sean spoke from what will help them the most. Because he doesn't speak to help himself. It will, but he doesn't speak. That's not his motive. That's not his source. His source is, I'm in joy. I'm in my emotional home. How can I best help them? What will move them forward? What will show them their infinite possibility? What will show them their strategy? What will help them see a different story that they can step into? That's huge. Like, I can't even communicate how huge that is. That's the equivalent of what Sean and I are fixing to be doing in another hour and a half. You're hearing from someone, the power of momentum and creating an abundant mindset. Oh my gosh, that's day 2. That's day 2, y'all. He's going right into it. The other thing I'm saying too is, as he drops on the ground, we didn't say he was full of grace. We said he was full of joy. There's a big difference there.
You want me to tell you what Ron is full of? Was my mic on? I'm sorry.
You're getting to hear from someone. If you listen really closely to what Sean says, and if you listen from a place of what can I give more when I leave this call to the people that I come in contact with, instead of what can I get from Sean, what can go through me to others from Sean. If you listen to it ever so slightly, and it's just a small adjustment of your dial, that changes everything. And now I don't have to be the owner of what Sean says and then the giver to somebody else. I can just be a conduit of the joy to flow through me with some better language to the people that I get to be around. Y'all hear the difference? Am I communicating that well enough to understand what I'm trying to say? Does that make sense, Sean?
I'm just sitting over here embarrassed because of how you speak about me. So,
well, I want to.
I'm in the room.
As a little sister, I want to rib him, and just poke fun at him. As a mentee, I want to tell y'all what you're getting on these phone calls is. I'm over here going, and I know I'm throwing towels at him, aggravating him, but I'm going, you've already taught this. You've already taught me this. And he kind of looks at me at some things, and I'm kind of yawning, and he kind of looks at me like, really? And I'm like, you've already taught us this. So the other thing I want to try to communicate as well as I can is who you're not now, not me, but Sean, when I let him have the mic and have his own callback and I don't take it over again, when you're hearing from him, you're hearing from a world-class mentor for free.
Well, they are paying the most precious thing.
Their time.
Yeah.
Their time. So it's unbelievable the knowledge that he has and the application and how he's not giving it to get. He's giving it from his emotional home of joy. I don't know if there's anybody else on this phone call. I probably have a problem with that. I'm not going to lie. I'd be like, what? I don't know if anybody else on this phone call is where he's at, which is good. We're all running to it as fast as we can. So props to you there.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. Did y'all see that sweet moment? Somebody record that, please.
Well, I got a couple. Was it yesterday on the call? You said I was right. Was that?
I said not to say it this morning too.
Well, you haven't said it. You haven't said I'm right. You just said how nice he is and he's good. And she hadn't said, yeah. Anybody hear her? Let me just check the chat.
I'm really thirsty. I need to get some coffee.
Nobody said that. She didn't say I was right. No. Elizabeth, you got your hand up.
Wait, go ahead. What Corinne was going to say.
Go ahead, Corinne.
I was just going to ask if Elizabeth can speak.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Elizabeth.
You guys, okay, so it's been a hard time for me to like come on like lately because I've been having like these issues, and then like first it started off with no, we're not sleeping, if you guys remember, and then I talked to a couple people like outside, and I just felt like my husband was back on pills again, and he was denying it. Well, I ended up finding the truth out that he is, and he's lying. So, okay, I'm like, whatever, I'll figure that out. But the reason why I found out that he was on pills is because he left his, you know, one of his devices at home, and I was able to like read it and see the proof of it. So he lied about being on the pills, just a bunch of lies. And now I found out that he's basically cheating on me. So this is, like, I feel like I have to refigure out my entire life all over again. I tried so hard to fix him. And it's like he's so much of the opposite of me. Like, I've been always trying to get on these calls, and it's like if my attention isn't towards him, he gets like jealous. So it's like my personal development is like, it's like intimidating to him, you know, like I just graduated school and I still have to take my licensure. And it's like he started to be really mean to me when I was studying. He's like, all you care about is studying. And it's like, what did I even get my master's degree for? We're like, what do you mean? And so now he doesn't even know that I have the proof of him talking to his ex behind my back. Like, he's straight denying it and lying to my face. And I'm like interrogating him. And then he's like deleting. I go, let me see the messages on your phone. He's like, oh, well, I deleted them. But as I have his like iWatch, I'm looking at the messages being deleted right in front of my eyes. And he still doesn't even have the courage to even tell me the truth. And he's still lying to my face. And then like right before I hopped on, he like woke me up. Hey, it's time for you to get a job since you're going to be divorced. And you're like being real nasty to me. It's like, yeah, okay. So I don't know, like like I feel like because we were building a house together, like he wanted to have more kids, and then he's doing all this behind my back as if like it's like I just feel so betrayed. I feel like I don't know what I feel right now, and it's like I feel like you guys are the only people that have been bringing like light to my life. And he was like still trying to ruin that. Like that's why I couldn't even like get on the calls in the morning, because he was being like that. And I've been journaling, and I'm like asking the universe and God to like get rid of all the bad and negative people out of my life. And I feel like it just got answered, and he was one of them.
So, Elizabeth, where you're at right now, just from a physical standpoint, are you safe?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. So that's first and foremost. Secondly, where do you think, where are you sitting? Meaning not physically where are you sitting? What's the possibilities for you?
What's the what?
The possibilities for you. What's possible for you today?
Anything is
No, I know,
possible.
but let's narrow some of the things down that can give you some, at least give you a little bit of control over you.
I just need to figure out my next step without getting a headache. Like last night, I couldn't sleep. And I like woke up with a headache. I just want to calm my mind down.
Okay.
I tried meditating last night before bed. I just couldn't even like go through with it like all the way. I was like on Moshe's meditation at midnight. And I just like my mind is just racing. I just want to calm my mind down because I feel like I have 1,010 things I have to think about.
Right.
And my own mental health is so important to me, and I just want to get back to that.
So would you say one of the places that you're sitting in right now is uncertainty?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So uncertainty is not a bad thing. Uncertainty is variety. So if you sit in variety, if you sit in having a change of variety, there's a lot of, would be very hard to sit in uncertainty and see all of the positive and all of the negative, because right now there's a whole bunch of negative of uncertainty in your world.
Yeah.
What would be some of the positive uncertainty that might exist from this moment forward? Because we can list a whole bunch of negative uncertainty that exists for you right now.
Well,
what would be a positive uncertainty?
I guess a positive uncertainty would be if I'm not going to be married to him anymore, I'm going to be able to work on myself more without being harassed for it.
Okay. So that's one positive. What would be another positive? You get to absolutely look at life a different way. As very basic as that is, but it's an uncertainty of what might happen today, what might happen tomorrow, what might happen in 2 weeks. There's all of these new things. So would it be fair to say that your emotions create your life? What we think about and think about, we bring about? Would it be fair to say that possibly there's some solutions that will present itself over the course of the next couple of weeks that would totally go by you because of the state that you're in? I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it's fun. I wouldn't wish it upon anybody. What I'm saying is that if we go back to what the Stoics say, Epictetus said, you can only control what's inside of your world. And what inside of your world is the only thing that you can control. What do you have complete control over? Your state of mind. What he does, what he did, listen, I love you, but do you think there's going to be more that you'll find out over the course of the next couple of weeks?
I don't even want to know.
Exactly. That's my point, is that there'll probably be more. If you've scratched the surface, I doubt you've gotten to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
So can you be physically, mentally prepared for this? Okay. So that I knew there was more. I had no idea it'd be that. And maybe there is no more. Maybe you got to the bottom of it. But I think there's a part of you that knows, and there's a part of me that knows that we ain't got to the bottom yet.
I'm just so disappointed. Like, I literally just thought that he just had this pill addiction. I didn't that was like the last thing on earth that I thought with that specific person, to be quite honest. That literally was like the I don't know. I felt like I got hit in the jugular. I was like, are you kidding me right now? Like, am I really seeing this?
Right.
And then all of a sudden everything's getting like switched back on me. you know, like just trying to distract and project, and I don't know.
So
I wasn't
let's
born
get very
yesterday.
clear. Let's clear up a couple of emotions. Are you the one back on drugs?
Who?
You. Are you the one back on drugs?
Oh, absolutely not.
So the fact that he is, but it has triggered an addiction in you of broken expectation.
Yeah, because it makes him crazy. These pills that he takes, he's not even prescribed them. Like, he has gotten caught with them so many times, he should be in prison for it. And the fact that he's so addicted to it, he's buying it from other people, which I saw, and I could literally scare probably the heebie-jeebies out of everybody and be like, oh, look what, like, I have all of this, which I would never do that, but
Right.
that's illegal. Like, you can't be selling your pills. You're ruining families here.
Yep.
And like, this is the reason why I became a drug counselor. He is the reason why I went for my master's degree, because I wanted to learn to help people like him. And it's like, he still is choosing this drug because it gives him energy. It's like meth. It like just, he wants to get our house done for our future, just everything he's saying. And like, he was just denying it. And like, now all of a sudden, like, okay, I was just like specifically looking for pills. Like, I knew he was on them. I saw it. And then all of a sudden I see text messages from his ex. And I'm like, oh my God, is this even for real right now? Like, I felt like it was a bad dream.
So here's the challenge for you. If you go to him in that low state, in that conviction state, that blaming state, is there any chance he can hear anything other than conviction and blame? And what do you think his response might be?
He will deny everything until I show him
Sure.
the truth. Even if I show him the truth, he'll come up with some sort of reason to like lie around it, because this is not the first time that this happened. This
Right.
happened like a lot when we first met, and I gave him a second chance. And I feel like sometimes just people don't deserve a second chance. And you just got to go for the first red flag that's thrown at you.
So here's the question. If you go to him in a low state, right, that emotional home that you've got back into, or you go to him in the highest state of your vulnerability, of where the outcome may still be the outcome, where you may be single, you may be on your own with your little boy, he may not be in the picture, or maybe he is in the picture, and this is the time that changes him. Don't know. But what state do you think might be the best state for you to approach this in?
When I'm in the highest state of all state. Like, I want to.
So tell me how you would sound. Give me an example of your voice when you're in the highest state.
It would be very calm.
Okay.
Calmer than now. Like,
So very calm. What would be the intention behind it?
The intention of me being calm?
No, the intention of your highest state. What's the intention of your highest state? Is it for him, for you, for your boy, for who?
For all of us.
Okay, so that intention, is it to condemn or is it to just uncover?
Well, to uncover.
Okay, and what you uncover, can it change your intention into rage or aggravation, or can you truly be the counselor that's not attached to the story, even though you're right smack dab in the middle of it?
Yeah, I don't want to get like that. I don't want to get angry. I don't want to get sad. I just want to just
So this is go ahead.
It's almost like the saying, you know, you have your whole entire life planned, and then all of a sudden God laughs at you when you have your life planned.
Well, your life plan is still in place. Follow me on this, because it's never the plan, that's the how, that's the strategy. The story has changed, but the mindset hasn't. This is exactly what we were chatting about this morning. You're saying your life plan has changed. The strategy has changed.
Yeah.
Is the story of your joy still a true story?
Yeah, it's still the same.
So if that's still a true story, so now let's go one step farther back. Let's go deeper into the vault and the mindset. What's the mindset that allows you to have a joyous life? That's where this conversation needs to come from, because the mindset of your joy is being run through a tree trimmer, a chipper, a branch chipper, and it's not true. Your mindset of the true story needs to be solid. And the reason I say that is because if your mindset of the true story, the strategy has changed.
Yeah.
This is no more, listen, 10 years from now, God willing, you'll go back going, you know what? I remember in 2020, holy crap, there was COVID, and then my relationship got on the rocks, and it may be back together or it may be on something else. But 10 years from now, you're going to be looking back at 2020 going, man, that was just, 2020 sucked. But you know what? 2020 gave me this. And where you'll be 10 years from now,
yeah, I'll be
will
happy.
be so much, and well, can't be happy in 2030 unless you wind up getting happy now. Follow me on this. Not saying it's a good thing that happened, but you didn't do it. You didn't promote it. You didn't want it. You didn't. So then you're not the one that needs to be said. Well, but everything I had planned, got it. Strategies changed. But you're a strong enough woman to go, you know what? Shit hit the fan. We got to figure this out now.
Right.
And when you stay in that calm state, and when you stay in your higher state, which you're getting a lot of education right now, and this education isn't cognitive. It's just education. It's just information. When it starts to sink in, and maybe there was something painful that happened to him, I don't know, don't really care. But when nobody ever has reasons for their failure, they have excuses.
Right. Exactly.
But they present them as reasons. So as you, the person who's doing their best to stay at whole, it's going to be paramount that you can listen with the intent, what Covey says, to understand, so that you can be understood. Because this, you know as well as anybody, this has escalated, can escalate very quick, because the resistance of sharing, again, I know this because of relationships in my very long past. When you get asked and get challenged, and you know you're lying, and you know they know you're lying, because they can't ask that question for me to lie unless they already knew the truth, and therefore all I can do is deny it, and they're going to wait for me to say the truth, and it's a no-win situation. So all I can share for you, Elizabeth, is for you to visualize, just like we talked about the turning of the circle. See it gets, what would be a good outcome for you? Because that's the only thing you have control over. What would be a good outcome for you? And then double it. What would have to happen for that outcome to become twice as good?
Yeah.
What would have to happen for that outcome to become 3 times as good? And if that, because right now the state of mind that you might be in is not looking for a good outcome. It's looking for vindication, verification, validation of all of your effort. All of your effort has not changed. All of your effort has not changed. How you thought it was being used, information, you're gathering feedback, now shows it may have been used differently. may have never been used, but your intention behind what you gave, your intention behind what you're doing right now this morning, how you came onto this call, your intention is not to be harmful. So if karma is true, then harmful shouldn't be coming back to you. This is the mind triggering old stories saying, see, you're not good enough. Right. You are good enough. You are good enough. That's old stories being triggered. That's old emotions. Right now, your desire for one of the human needs is to have certainty. And listen, mine was significance and certainty. Both of those, if you're living in a world of needing to be significant and having certainty, you will always be in pain. Significance, certainty, love. If you're needing those, you will always, I know that it hit me hard. You will always be in pain. Your life will be filled with pain. So right now, your certainty that you need to be certain about this situation, I think you already know it. If you stepped into uncertainty and variety and became engulfed in the fact that there's so many unlimited possibilities that might show up, and you can stand in that uncertainty and go, wow, holy mackerel. Who puts purple window dressings on a yellow window frame? That's just like crazy. But if you can sit in the joy of the uncertainty that's about to happen, that's unfolding right in front of you, it's a huge paradigm shift. I get it. But here's what I also know. This is a day of your life that you can never get again. And you're strong enough to make smart decisions. You're not somebody who has been absolutely been railroaded into you need strong people around you. You're a strong woman already. You're a strong being already. And as you sit here, is it heartbreaking? Is it? Yes. The only thing, listen, my love, this may be hard. The only thing that's broken right now is your expectations. I know that's tough. I know that's so tough to hear because what the hell do you know, Sean? You ain't in the middle of this shit. I get it. But I'm talking to the same amazing human being that existed yesterday, that existed a month ago, that existed 2 weeks ago, that existed a year ago, that's gotten through all of the story. That's the same amazing human being that's sitting here in front of me right now. You came to us and you opened up a curtain that said, look at all of this shit that's happening. I get it. And we're like, and all of a sudden we take on a level of comparison. Well, I guess me being late on my phone bill is a hell of a lot better than what Elizabeth is going through. Why do we do that? Why do we even compare? What makes it so easy for us to find where the shit in our world is no longer really bad?
First world problems.
Exactly. So as I sit here with Elizabeth and I sit here with this amazing soul, it's the same beautiful human being that showed up on the calls always. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed except for the way she sees herself. I don't see her any different. I don't see her as this person who's now going through a potential separation, dealing with a spouse who's on drugs now. That's always been the story. That story has always existed. It's why there's so much pain. It's why there's kind of there's a lot less shock on this side of the room, on these side of the screens, Elizabeth. And the reason I say that is because you know what most people have said? Oh, well, yeah, he was an addict once, he's an addict again. It's easily to justify our vision of your life.
Yeah.
But you know what happens when everybody just did that and they go, well, yeah, shit, the guy was on pills before and there's no None of us are shocked. I'm surprised she's shocked.
That I'm
That
not
just
shocked about. It's the other.
right. Well, so that just took everybody out of their moment. And this is where we wind up with our pain. This is the emotional home. If everybody went and judged your spouse, judged your husband, going, well, yeah, I was an addict. Well, that's your emotional home you just ran to. Pay attention, everybody. This is life happening right in front of us. Elizabeth, I love you. I'm so proud of you that you are teaching all of us again today through. This is what happens when we listen and can be taught through vulnerability. But if we just sat there and said, well, yeah, I mean, she talked about her husband before. Oh, and talking to her ex. Oh, you want to hear a story about your boyfriend talking to an ex? Let me tell you a story. Some of us said that. So, Elizabeth, your emotional home isn't this place. That's why you're sad. You're sitting in somebody else's emotional home right now. Maybe you're sitting in an old emotional home you thought you tore down.
Yeah.
So the question then becomes, as strong as you are, can you use that strength? As strong as you want to become, can you start that now? Is it easy? Is it easy? Hell no. But it's only not easy until.
Right. It's just another challenge being thrown at me. Like,
Well,
right when
here's the question. That challenge has always been there.
It just causes so much tension in my neck. And
Okay.
like I literally had my headaches under control until yesterday.
So when you have a headache, what happens to you when you have a headache? Do you go into a higher state of emotion or a lower state of emotion?
I go into just a lower. I mean, I could still function because I dealt with headaches for a long time. It's just these are what I call like a stress headache. It's not a migraine.
But again, see, we're giving them all of these labels. Let's just keep it very basic. Does it allow you to operate at a higher level of influence and grace, or does it take that away from you?
It definitely takes away.
So,
if I can get rid of the headache, I would probably be a lot better now that I
so would it be okay if that story changed, because this is old patterns that are showing up?
Yeah.
So do you have a headache now?
Oh,
Do you have tension now?
I do still, yeah. I feel like I need a
Okay.
roll.
Would it be okay if that tension went away?
Yes.
If that tension went away, what would change in your story?
My day would just feel so much better.
Okay. And if your day felt so much better, would it be, is there a chance that people would say, hey, listen, as people begin to find out about this, or is there a part of your story that says, why weren't you more pissed off? Why weren't you, how could you be calm in a moment like this? Do you think somebody would say that story to you?
I'm sure.
So could it be possible that you're carrying this tension so that you can feel that people won't judge you, that you're like not in touch, right? Other women would say, yo, see, the son of a bitch is doing what he's doing. How could you be calm with this? How come you're not in rage? Are you trying to fit the story so that when people find out about this, when this gets uncovered at another level, that you're not the one who looks like you're being the bad guy for not being in pain or in rage or suffering?
I mean, being like that just doesn't do anything but cause me more of a headache. I don't want to be like that. I want to try and be calm as possible because I don't want Noah to see any of this. Like, Noah saw me really sad last night, and I tried not to be like that so hard. And then when his dad called on FaceTime, he was like, are you being mean to mommy? He was like totally sticking up for me. And like my husband got mad, like as if I told him to say that. But it's like 3-year-olds can sense.
I'm like, I swear to God, I didn't tell him to say that. Like, he just knows that I'm sad and is assuming that it's obviously
Right.
you. Like, who else is it going to be?
So what state of Elizabeth, if you could punch into a computer, what state of Elizabeth would you type in to the computer for the programming for you to be able to deal with the situation that serves you, serves Noah, and allows information to be exchanged without you getting sucked down into the well? What state of mind would you want to type into the programming computer?
I feel like I'm in a better state of mind now than I was when I first
Okay.
was telling you guys, to be quite honest.
So what
'Cause
changed? What changed?
I feel like you telling me that, me at first thinking my life is over, you know, all these challenges, like my life is still the same. It's just the strategy is changing. And me, I have all these responsibilities that are still going to be there regardless. And those are my goals in life that I still have to accomplish, which I'm going to. So I just need to focus more on doing that.
So
And
the challenge often for people is that their passion isn't the problem. It's that the strategy sucks.
yeah.
So listen, there's some people sitting on here who are they're sucking the chair up in their butt because it sounds like I'm being an asshole to you.
No, I know you're not.
I'm not, but you're the strong woman who needs to be to have this conversation with somebody who's not, because you're so strong and you're so powerful. Few are capable of having the dialogue with you because you're instantly somebody who they admire and respect your opinion more. So if they're going, well, if Elizabeth is thinking this, it must be true. It must be the right way. That's how much influence you have, right? The definition of a leader is to be able to influence those around you.
Yeah.
Right now, your beauty, your strength, your courage, everything that has existed up to this story has been one of influence. So now when the poop hits the fan and you start telling people, they're instantly going to be going, well, she's somebody of influence. I mean, if this can happen to her, we need to pay attention to how she gets through this. Oh, and then the other thing is that the story of everybody else's story of what's taking place in your life right now can only be told from their story. They didn't get through the shit. They're still carrying it around. And when you kind of Teflon this and it kind of rolls off your shoulder because Noah's the bigger reason here.
Mm.
They're like, how could you do that? Oh my God, she's so strong, but but behind you, right? We talked about in branding. It's what people say about you when you're not in the room. And are people looking for a reason for you to win in this situation, or are they looking for you to go through more pain than they did so they can go, see, my life wasn't a full hell in a handbasket. She's going through worse.
Yeah.
Isn't it possible that people want to see you fail, hit harder, fall harder, and they don't know how you can get through this? Well, she's just, just watch. We'll find her out in the front yard, in her underwear with a box of red wine next to her.
I mean, I'm going to tell you guys, like, without this happening to me, I've been through probably way worse with him in the past. So that's why, like, I feel like maybe I am a little bit more calm about this right now. Like, my marriage was, like, really, really over, I want to say about a year ago. And I was, or maybe it was 2 years ago. I can't remember. Time flies so fast. But I actually put civil protection order on him at one point because his drugs, him being on pills, were so bad that it almost could have cost our child's life. Okay, he was being very reckless with his pills, and he dropped one on the floor when Noah was like 13 months old, and I witnessed Noah pick it up in front of my face when I was folding clothes. And that's when I started crying. I flipped out. I was like, I don't even feel safe in my own home. And so I had to, like, literally I was so scared, but I went downtown and I marched to the judge and I cried and I was like, I need help. like, I don't know what to do. I need to feel safe in my own home with my own child. And he wasn't allowed to be around us for like 2 or 3 months, and he had no contact, and he was like begging and saying he would change and this and that and the other. And my sorry ass felt bad and took him back. And then, you know, it started to happen all over again, just in different ways. And he was very verbally abusive and very aggressive with me, and until he got off pills again. And so I like to say, like, when I look back at myself during those times, I was really driven. I was still in school. I was working out like every day. That was like my major stress reducer. Like, I literally always tell everybody that I know, like, just work out if you're stressed, because that helps in so many ways that you'll never know. And so I feel like lately I haven't been working out because I've been just so busy. And
Yep.
I feel probably going to get back into working out like once or twice a day because of this. And
So what time today would you start your workout?
I mean, I got this maxi climber in my living room. I could do it right now if I wanted to.
Well, so here's the thing. There's a difference between knowing what to do and doing what we know. This is the cognitive, right? You know what you need to do right now to help your body, because that's where this resides, in your body. Your ability to make decisions is pretty flawless. But right now, your body's got you in control. So get on that thing, get doing what you need to do, because that for you is your certainty in a positive way.
Yeah.
In all of this uncertainty, the way that you can get your endorphins and your and the oxytocin flowing in your body to be able to make better decisions, because right now you're not at the best decision-making mindset that's possible for you.
Right.
And that's the challenge. When we go into a shitstorm, we make shitty decisions. So I would encourage you to get to the highest level, to get the oxytocin to, well, but is it okay for me to feel good? It's the only place you can make the best decisions for you and Noah.
Right.
So,
you know, the coffee that I drink has it releases oxytocin in my brain. I'm like, now.
Yeah. Have that, get on the machine, get the body involved, get the body engaged, because then stories of you being in control
right
will flow back into you, because they're in the solution to all of this is already inside you.
Right.
It can't be anyplace else. Your ability you have, listen, here's the tough word. You have a responsibility. And that responsibility is the ability to respond. We're not pointing fingers, who did what, who did this. It's only your ability to respond. So you've kind of been in some similar situation.
Yeah, I've been in a very similar situation, Elizabeth. And I was sitting here thinking about all this, what I would have given to have a community like this during that, and what I would give to have the knowledge I have now and the applications that I've used now back then. Yeah, very, very, very similar situation. We won't go into comparison on situations I didn't understand. And listening to Tony yesterday and being on the other side of what you're about to cross through, one of the things, there's a couple of things that stood out to me as I was listening to you talk to Sean, and one of the things was where focus goes, energy flows. So if you're constantly focusing, and now I don't say this lightly, and I don't say that it's an easy decision, but where focus goes, energy flows. Are you focused more on the hurt and the frustration and the dreams being shattered, and you get into this negative flow? Where does all your energy flow? All down that negative, right? All down the negative path. This is all things. You're a very educated woman. You know this. The one thing that got hijacked is your control.
Right.
You're a strong woman, and you had all this in control and it got hijacked. And the reason it got hijacked is that was a fake truth. You can't control anything except you. That's all you can control. You got a little 3-year-old. Half the time we can't even control our children.
Yeah.
The only people we can control is us. That's it. So when you have a situation like this, it takes your focus out of you and all your energy goes flowing into something else. Now, who really has been hijacked and left alone? You. You don't have your energy anymore because you're giving it to the thought of the pills or the thought of his ex or the thought of him or the thought of what life's going to be like without it. The only thing you have control over is you. Your focus, where your focus goes, energy flows. And the other thing that popped up, and the reason I can say these things is because I did them all wrong. I'm not gonna lie, I did them all wrong when I was going through this. And if I have prayed many times that if all that happened to me can help somebody else, then it will not have been in vain. So that's why I'm telling you these things. The other thing I want to share with you is the quality of life is where you live emotionally. I look at your picture. You're not even on camera, but I look at your picture and I'm like, there's no one on the screen that doesn't deserve a high quality of life. So your quality of life is where you live emotionally. And if you're not fulfilled and you're looking for fulfillment outside of yourself, you're looking to be unfulfilled the rest of your life.
Yeah.
The only way you can be fulfilled is inside yourself, in your emotional home, and how that's defined. And all these words sound so and cliche because the state of mind we get in is a low energy suffering state. And some of your words in your head are, yeah, but she's past it and now she's okay. I get that. You can focus there. Where your focus goes, your energy flows. Or you can go, you know what? I have a beautiful 3-year-old little boy. I just graduated with my flipping master's degree. I'm a pretty phenomenal woman. This is amazing. I'm an amazing human being. And the reason some of this fight is coming to you, the biggest reason is he makes his own decisions. Your husband makes his own decisions. You can't control that. And the other reason is the enemy knows how amazing you are, and there's obstacles in your way. But if you'll take those obstacles and the things that are coming to you, flip the script and use them as moments, like we were talking to Corinne and LaToya, use those as moments for, I can see this law of attraction, and I can realize I'm strong enough to attract a trial and a test that God knows I can successfully walk through and create yet another stronger barrier around your emotional home. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I know that's
the
not what
first
you wanted
time
to
that
hear.
This happened. This is the second time, so at least I've already been through it once.
Right.
So then here's the question, Elizabeth. If we have a conversation with you, is there anything, and you have your decisions made, would it matter if I sat down with your husband and said, hey, listen, here's all the things that you really need to do, and here's the things you need to look at, without him having gone through the personal development that you're going through, having gone through, continuing to go through? Is there any chance he could hear any of this as a positive solution?
Any of what?
Any of like, hey, listen, you should pull your head out of your tuchus and go to rehab. Could he even be? Yeah.
He needs to go through liar school, not being a
Right.
liar.
Right. So he's just he can only do what he can do, and how he responds to the situation depends upon the way it gets presented to him. If you stay in your highest state, no matter what he says, can't affect you. If you can control, if you can stay in your emotional state of you needing to take care of you needing to take care of your child, there's nothing that he can do to tear you down from that. But you have to be in your highest state.
You're right. I do.
And as you go
Sean,
through,
can I say something?
yes, go ahead.
Hello, everybody. Hi, Elizabeth. You know that I don't really talk like that sweet, like Rhonda. A lot of other people talk. Right? I'm like real tough. Or I try to be sweet, but still come out tough, right? I just want to share with you, and just like Rhonda said, we're not here to say been there or say mine was worse or anything like that, right? But I want to share with you something that I'm not want to share what happened. I want to share what I felt, how I felt when that happened to me, right? And I did call Sean, I called Rhonda, and and I was real desperate. And you know what I realized after I shared everything? I realized that the part that really was hurting me, because it wasn't the first time, not even the second or the third or the fourth, so just keep going. The part that was hurting me actually was that, how can he do it to me, right? I'm not saying you feeling this, but I want to share what I felt. Maybe it helps, right? And I was like, how can he do that to me? I'm this, I'm that. I feel like I'm this. I feel like I'm helping. I feel like this. I feel all the good stuff, right? How can he see him? How can he see him that and do that to me? So at the end, yes, it was hurting me what he did or what he was doing, but actually it was more me hurt about it was more me, right? That I felt that he shouldn't be doing that to me, right? And it was more about me. And one thing I have to understand, no matter what everybody say, yes, I want people to listen to me, and it did good to me. I'm not saying it did wrong. It did real good to me. But the reason I realized that I wanted to listen to people just for me to be sure that I'm good and that I'm strong. I know I'm strong. You know you are strong, right? But at that point, I needed to hear that. Because in that moment, I was getting confused. I started to doubt that I was doing things right. If I just didn't know how to be a woman, if I didn't know how to be a wife, I knew I was, but it hurt me so much. I don't know if the word is ego or what, or that woman thing that we have. And I wanted to know that I was doing things right. But no matter what people say, in my case, no matter what anybody say, at the end I was gonna do what I wanted to do. Maybe I was doing something, maybe I was doing total the opposite of what people were telling me to do. But I realized that at the end I was gonna do exactly what I thought I should do, even though it was the right decision or not the right decision, because at the end, I started to understand that in life, you can make a right decision that you think is the right, and for others can be the wrong. Or you can make the worst decision, and for everybody else can be the best decision. So no matter what everybody say to me, which that helped because I needed to hear that, at the end I did what I wanted to do. And one thing that made me go through all this, and Sean and Rhonda are a witness of what I'm talking about, right? Like Rhonda said, I'm so glad that many, many years ago, where I go through other things in life due to whatever I go through life. Now, this time that I was going through this, this was like 2 years ago, I had this group, right? At least for me to say, hey, I need to talk, just like you did. Because when you said that and you started talking, I said, oh my God, that was me. Hey, and I even forgot about everybody was talking about something different. And I had to talk because it was about me. And I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that's what I felt that moment. And at least I have this community to say it. And people stop everything and listen to me, and they were there for me. But I want you to know you're a strong woman. You know that. Even though we need somebody to tell us, you know you're strong. And you already know probably what you're going to do in the next minute, no matter what we said. But the only thing I wouldn't want you to forget, right, that you are strong and that everything is going to be fine. The reason why Sean asked you, and I understand this now, the reason before Sean started to talk or tell you anything is you were in a safe place. And the only reason, and I know that because I've been through something like that, because the only reason that I'm concerned right now, if you were physically safe, right? Because now that's a different story. That's not if I'm strong or not. That is that. And I know because even I've been in places with Sean that he not even asked me, are you okay mentally? She asked me, are you okay? Physically okay? Are you safe, right? And that's all that we can probably help you right now if you wasn't physically safe, right? But about the emotion part, don't forget that you already know you are strong, right? No matter what we say, hey, here, it probably will help you to understand or to remember what you want. What you want, you know what you want to do, you know what you're expecting, but right now you hurt because he did it to you. And we don't expect as a woman, because we as a woman go, we do so much things that sometimes we don't supposed to do, but we still do it. And at the end, we want people to see us and more the person that we are with, we want them to see that. And they are sometimes like the last person and the one that hurt us the most sometimes, right? But we allow that. And I have to understand that. As hard as it sounds, we allow everything that is happening to us. We allow that. But the good part about this is that now we have conscience, because sometimes we allow, but we don't know about it. But you being here, being the woman you are, strong as you are, as strong as you show. I even say in pictures, sometimes we in pictures, we probably don't see our vulnerability. I don't know how to say that in English.
Vulnerability.
That word. In picture, we probably don't show that, but we do show in our picture something about us, our positions that we get in picture. We show that we at least are like that strong person, right? Or that sweet person, and or that pink robe woman, right? And and yes, it's like Rhonda and me, we got the same pink robe because we were in this and that, and you don't see me wear that robe. Why? Because in our picture we show some kind of what we are. And what I'm saying this, but now I got a condition, Rhonda, I'm gonna wear that robe pink too, right?
Yeah, you are, girl.
But anyway, with the picture you have there, I know you're a strong woman. You know that you're a strong woman. And like Sean tell me sometimes, or more all the time, he don't say, I know I know you are a strong woman. No, he said, you know you're a strong woman, right? Because we know. And sometimes we know how we can talk to some people. And I don't usually talk like that. Well, when I talk a lot, but I don't usually talk to everybody that says something. But when I do, it's because I had that, what we're talking today, that feeling, even you are there and I'm here, that feeling, that connection, that energy, that you can take this. You're strong and you know already what you want. And you just heard because he did it to you. So just forget about that. Try to forget about that. And you know what I said? You know what? Yes, I didn't deserve this. Yes, I don't deserve it, but it happened. But I'm strong. It's not me the problem. That's what Sean used to tell me. It's not you. Yeah, it hurt that we get that. It hurt. But you're not the fault. You are not. and you don't have, and you know, but sometimes we forget that. So don't forget that. You don't deserve it, but it's not your fault. And that's how I wanted to end this. You don't deserve that, but it's not your fault. And you have to keep saying that all day long, all day long. Whenever you want to cry, you cry a little bit and then you say, you know what? I don't deserve this, yes, but don't go down. Don't go down. Or I deserve this. Why he did this to me? Oh my God. No, say, shit, I don't deserve this. It's true, but it's not my fault. It's not my fault because I'm a good person and I'm working on me and I'm getting better and I'm gonna go over this and you are gonna get over it. How? I don't know. Because I can tell you a lot of forms right now and you're still gonna do whatever you want. Because Rhonda and Sean told me so many things and I still did the opposite things and they know that, right? And they never asked me. And I love them because they never asked me, shit, Kayla, we told you to do this and you do the totally opposite thing, right? Because you're gonna do whatever you feel like doing. And more if there is kid involved, right? But don't sit there saying that somebody's blaming you, somebody's gonna point at you, right? Because you know your life, I know my life. We always talk what we want people to hear. Hardly we talk exactly what's going on inside. So it's not your fault. You don't deserve that, but it's not your fault. So just keep going. Every time you're feeling down, remember that. And whatever happened, right? As long as you physically say whatever happened, you can go through this, okay? So that's what I wanted to share with you. So thank you.
Thank you, Kayla. So Liz, we're here for you. We got you. We got your back. Whatever
Thank
we
you,
can do to
guys.
serve you.
Thank you. I appreciate
Okay.
and love you all. I'm so happy and grateful to even like have you guys during this time. Like, I can't even imagine like how my day would have gone if I didn't have you guys. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I
Well,
just want
listen, and I need you to hear this. I need you to hear this too, Liz. We can't imagine how our day would have been had we not got to serve you.
That's right.
That, listen, you're a miracle for all of us today. And I need you to hear that. I really want you to hear that. You gave everybody a chance to refocus. You gave everybody a chance to focus their energy because where they focus, the energy flows. And you gave people a chance to have a little bit of a comparison in their world that said, oh, hey, I guess my day's not going to be as crazy as Liz's. Now they see your day not going to be so crazy because you have taken control back of it. You've put your focus where you need your focus to be. And you've helped 30 people today. Some of them never said a word to put their focus where they need to really, really put their focus. So you have been a miracle to us. I want you to know that. So we're going to wrap this up. Closing words. She's over here exercising already.
Stretching.
She's getting ready for the day.
I know, I'm stretching my back. That's a good place to go right there. Go stretch. Stretch. Stretch your physical body.
We're either going to be stretched or we're going to stretch.
Right. Right. After this call, go stretch. Stretch your low back. Stretch your spine. That's your lifeline. Everything that flows from your brain flows down your spine and out to your body. Stretch your back. Stretch your low back. And every time you do, say to yourself and to your mind, thank you for absorbing everything we talked about today. Thank you for stretching around every bit of knowledge. So now that I'm moving dynamically, it'll become results. And don't do these just static stretches. Do these dynamic moving stretches so you can actually see the muscle working constantly, not holding it. Don't hold it, but stretch it and move it and stretch it back. And thank your body for what it's doing and the results it's going to walk you through. And your brain will absorb this and walk through, and it will stretch. It's a perfect place to be. Define your emotional home. And as you do that while you're stretching, you will get the results you want, and you will begin to sit in that emotional home and then determine, like Corinne said earlier, what takes me out of my emotional home, and then begin to understand and come up with a plan of what will I look at as people come into my life. What about them will I look at to determine if I allow them to stay in my life or if I allow them not to? And either way is okay. You're not a bad person if someone's vibration changes your vibration and you go, you know what? I don't need them in my life now. Thank you for being an identity marker that tells me I can't tolerate that energy just yet. And that's okay. So I would go stretch, go move, go enjoy. Sean and I will go through this class and pick up as many nuggets as we possibly can absorb and come back tomorrow with some more. And if there's any crazy moments, I'll do my best to catch them without him seeing and share those with you as well. That's it. His dancing, his white boy dancing.
Very white boy.
You know, that kind of stuff, the Chandler dance. If y'all ever watched Friends, I'll catch a few moments of that. We'll laugh and giggle. And hey,
I don't know how they
listen,
get their chest to do that.
he didn't know how to do this, and I was doing it behind him. I told him, I said, don't turn around. Don't turn around. And he turned around. But, you know. So listen, one more thing I'm going to leave you with. Tony Robbins has 168 countries on this call.
143 countries.
143 countries on this webinar.
22,000 people.
Yeah, over 22,000 people, a little over 20,000 people. So here's what I want to leave you with. What you just did, we're fixing to do that in 143 countries and more all over the world. So sit in the vibration that all of us on this call are creating, that you're a part of because you're with us, and realize the world is rejoicing from now until probably freaking midnight all over the globe. The vibration is going up. There's people dancing and singing and getting breakthroughs and getting stretches, and worlds are changing.
Look good on camera.
So I know it doesn't really. Yeah, please stop. It's not sexy.
At all.
So you're a part of that. Sit in that glory today, and when you have a moment, listen clearly with your supernatural ears, because you're going to be hearing us. You're going to be hearing the energy that we're going to be putting out all day today. It's freaking amazing when you sit in that spot. I love y'all. Thank you for letting me take over Sean's call sometime.
I used to be the host of the call. I'm still your head misfit, along with misfit number one. We'll see y'all where?
At the next event.
Talk to you soon,
I'll
family.
send some love to each guys. Love you.
Bye, guys.
Have a great day.
Guys, is that a dance or the dead spider?
Love y'all.
Love you.
Guys have fun.
Bye. Love y'all.